Hello, hello. Welcome to the stream. Hello, Hawkhead. How's it going? Great to see you. How's your day? Bad? I'm sorry. That stinks. What's up, Matt Tam? Don't be sad it's over. Be happy it happened. The very late Friday Eve special Request-A-Thon Extravaganza tier list video game Twitch stream.
Haircut. Yeah, I got a haircut.
Ta-da. Yeah. I made the mistake of lying down earlier. Oops, my bad. Shouldn't have done that. Anyway, here now. Probably gonna be a shorter stream and looking spiffy. Hey, thanks. I gotta shave also, but you know. Yeah, I made the mistake of lying down earlier, and I wanted to start at 9, and then oopsie daisy. Take a shave. I'll take a shave. Probably tomorrow. Yeah. Anyway, Metroid 2 will happen. Probably not tonight, but at some point, maybe like Sunday I want to do New Horizons Slumber Island stuff. Maybe Monday night I might be able to squeeze in a Metroid 2 stream, and then at least like it'll be the only thing for the stream, and it won't be like the tier list and then Metroid, you know? So now they can each take as long as they need to or whatever. I don't know. Anyway, admittedly I'm a little bummed that I that I fell asleep earlier. My bad. Anyway, hopefully the tunes aren't too loud. They shouldn't be. So the tier list, the Request-A-Thon roundup is what I remembered I called it in previous years. I also had to double check what I wrote in each of the tiers in previous years. So rather than doing a traditional S through D rank, S through D tier, because we're ranking these games on first impressions and my experience with that. Hi, Toaster. Or we're ranking these games on first impressions. So after playing them for a little bit, they become ranked on how much I want to play them again or how likely I am to play them again. So at the tippity top, definitely play again. 100% want to play again. Had a great time with very few complaints or critiques or whatever about the game. Overall, really, really good. Great game. Probably play again. Good to great game. Something about it maybe didn't click, or maybe I disagree with, or whatever. But like, I feel it feels more than likely that I'll probably play it. Maybe someday, not a priority. Maybe for some, if I like really get into the series or something or whatever. But not a priority. Probably not, but never say never. This is like a something specific would need to happen for me to play this game, I think, again, because it is not even not a priority. It is a priority to not play it again. But there is one aspect usually of a game here that is a little that makes it redeemable to some effect. So never say never. And then the final category is never. Never in a million years. Bad game. No thank you. Not interested. Never. Truly never. We could look at we played a lot more games last year. The finished list for last year, I guess, which I don't know, spoilers. Is it this one? Or hang on. Okay. This is last year's list. So, there's a lot more games. A lot more games in the definitely play again category. Because I had a great time. There's a lot of good games in there. Bug Fables, Fortnite, Ocarina, Roller Coaster Tycoon 2, Echoes of Wisdom, Undertale, In Stars in Time, Mega Man Legends, Metal Gear Solid 3, Banjo-Tooie, Link to the Past, Teamfight Tactics, Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, Ape Escape 2, Backpack Hero, and Fire Emblem 7. Let's play Fortnite. I'm down to play Fortnite whenever. Literally, I'm just a phone call away. For most things, I'm just a phone call away. I said this to my friend. I think this is very selfish of me. I am bad for... They added Chapel to Fortnite. Excellent. I'm very bad for... I'm bad at making plans because I don't think to. But I'm often down to do things if asked. Unless I'm sleepy. That's the number one thing that makes me not do things is that I'm sleepy. Anyway. And then in the probably play again, games that I had a great time with, but like less of a priority, I guess. We got Pikmin 2, Dungeons and Degenerate Gamblers, The Binding of Isaac, Little Kitty Big City, which we actually rolled credits on during the stream. It was longer than 3 hours to be sure, but I just like kept going because I was like, I think this is like almost like at the point where the stream could stop. I was like, I think this could be like done. I think I could be done with this. Anyway, great game. I think honestly the only reason it's in probably play again is because I already kind of beat it, but they added actually, since last we played this, they added an update where you can customize your cat. And I think there's more story. I think I need to go back to this game and do stuff in it again. What a good game. Little Nightmares. And then SnowRunner. Fucking SnowRunner. SnowRunner, honestly, should probably be in the probably not, but never say never. I was playing this game like with friends last year. I have not touched it. Maybe someday. Mega Man X4. We also rolled credits on that one, but on the Mega Man X Legacy Collection, there's an easy mode. All of the games have an easy mode. So we played X4 on the easy mode and rolled credits, but asterisk on the easy mode. So, I don't know. That one was tricky, I think, to like talk about because we did it on the easy mode, and I wonder like Because at the start of the stream, I was trying it on just the regular way that the game is intended and was not making any progress and probably would have been stuck on like one level the whole time. And then Pizza Possum we beat, and there's something that you can do in Pizza Possum. You basically have to beat Pizza Possum 3 times in a row without getting caught in order to like beat it like 100% it. As also a short, quick game. Anyway, I tried and then failed to like 100% it. So again, not really a priority to go back to, because I feel like we pretty much got the gist of it. I'm doing the last year's tier list again. Content warning I didn't vibe with, and then the never category is My Sims. No thanks. Spooky's Jump Scare Mansion. No thanks. And the cream of the crop for Never Say Never, motherfucking Roblox. Never in a million years. Anyway, this is this year's list. Roblox was the most fun stream. I'm glad that my pain makes for good entertainment. That's good. That bodes well for my future as a content creator. Roblox stream was legendary. Genuinely one of the best times you've had on Twitch. I think the thing that killed me about both Roblox and Fortnite, the streams of them, is I kept fucking disconnecting. It was so frustrating. This year, the disconnects were few and far between, thank God. But yeah, Roblox was tough. There's some issues for sure with the stream and also the game. I had a really bad time. I quickly uninstalled Roblox. As soon as it was over, I was like, get this shit out of my computer now. I played Dress to Impress for like 20 minutes. Before we get into the tier list for this year's Request-A-Thon, Request-A-Thon 3 Switch Online Extravaganza. Do y'all have any feedback? Do y'all have any notes? What did you think of this year's Request-A-Thon? Was it good? Was it bad? Was it not as good because it was only Switch Online games? Or was it better because it was only Switch Online games? Do you want there to not be any restrictions next year and it be the same as 1 and 2, where you can request anything as long as it doesn't get me banned on Twitch and it's not Pokemon? Thought it was fun. Def enjoyed last year more just because of the freedom to pick whatever within reason. Yeah. It was consistent this year. That's good. Yeah, this year was shorter than last year. Like last year, if you remember, took both December and January. There were more games. There were more requests. This year, pretty much managed to keep it within a month, give or take. I know we're into the first week of February, but you know. You like the restriction actually makes it easier to pick something. So yeah, in thinking about like other kinds of restrictions for next year, it could be something. I could do pretty much the opposite of this and say anything but Nintendo. I could say indie games only. I could say nothing older than 2010, nothing newer than 2010. We could pick a cutoff year, and we could do older or newer than a year. Yeah, we could pick. Yeah, man, I don't know. Anyway, there's games made by women. We could play Animal Crossing. We could play Animal Crossing New Horizons. Games made by women. Celeste. all games within Roblox. I'm gonna have to pass on that one, I fear. But thank you so much for the suggestion. This is selfish, but you liked having more games to get through before you go back to Pokemon. No, that ain't fair. I understand that. I'm glad that it was shorter this year because I am really excited to start Diamond next week. And even like Toaster said as much. Toaster was like, do I request a game and prolong Request-A-Thon, or do I not, and then Pokemon Diamond comes sooner? And I'm trying to remember actually if... Let me pull up the requests actually, and who requested what. Responses. Did Toaster request something? I don't even remember. What did Toaster request? No, literally Toaster didn't request something. So yeah, there you go. Toaster decided not to request a game to make Diamond happen sooner. That's so funny. Shab didn't request. Lou didn't request. Lou came in here and was like, I didn't get the Request-A-Thon memo. Is it too late to request? And I said, as a good friend, mid-Request-A-Thon, I said, Lou, of course you can still make a request, by all means. And then Lou still didn't fucking make a request. So, I don't know. I just feel like it felt maybe like there was a little less, sounds like Lou. Yeah, I know. I don't know. Maybe there was a little less excitement this year because of the restriction. I mean, the idea I had for most of the year was that it was going to be subscribers only could request games, and that felt bad. I don't know, but I don't know. I because of the amount last year, I wanted to limit it a little bit this year, and we did limit it and kept it to a month. So yeah, maybe next year we can do subscribers only. But also, I don't know. I kind of got to make a snap judgment like in November/December based on the amount of people who are actively here. You know what I mean? Who I think like I got to make a judgment call on like if it's not sub only, how many requests are there going to be? If it is sub only, are there enough subs to even warrant having the thing and have it be longer than 2 weeks? So yeah, I don't know. If I see growth, I guess. Anyway, but if it's sub only, could there be so like every game, because it's sub only, gets a longer stream or like a longer amount of time playing the game? That is depending on game length, right? Yeah, that is something to consider. That's not a bad idea. I also thought about like almost like a more like a democratic thing that would result in me playing games for longer, where someone could like put forward a game and then a bunch of people could vote on it, and the more votes it got, the longer I played it or something. Or again, if we kept it to a month, like just January 2027, and instead of playing a whole bunch of different games, we would only play like 4 games, but like a week each. So we would get to see a lot more of a handful of games rather than a little of a lot of games. And I think I prefer a little of a lot of games because I like the variety. I like kind of jumping from a different game every night, seeing a bunch of stuff. Love a little of a lot. And that's kind of like the idea. That was the idea anyway from the beginning. Anyway. All right. Folks, thanks for being here for the tier list. Sorry I started late. Let's get into it. I'm going to try and do these in the order that we played them if I remember. So the first game that we played, I can have the list pulled up, I guess, now that I think about it. You can still, yeah, I can have this up and you can still see the stream. Great. All right. Request-A-Thon 3 Switch Online Extravaganza kicked off with Mario Super Picross for the SNES, which is a non-translated NSO game. And it's Picross. If you know Picross, if you like Picross, then you're gonna like this game. It doesn't really need to be translated. There's a handful of games that are on English or like Western Switch Online, whatever, that haven't been translated. Like all three of the Starfy games for Game Boy Advance are on there, but not translated. And I think like there's dialogue in that game and like characters who kind of like give you direction in that game. So that's kind of that's a trickier game to try to play when you don't know how to read Japanese. Picross, luckily, is just Picross. You just gotta figure out the puzzle, similar to a Sudoku situation. You just gotta logic your way through it and then hit the right boxes. It has a pretty, I would say, generous penalty system in this one, where it starts you off at, you have a half an hour to finish a puzzle, but when you make a mistake, you lose an amount of time. And I think it is, the more mistakes you make, the more time you lose exponentially. So if you make your first mistake, you lose a minute. If you make a second mistake, you lose 2 minutes, so on and so forth. So that can build for sure, but it still gives you a nice amount of safety net to where you can make some mistakes and it's fine. And oftentimes, for the sake of like doing the puzzle and like gaining some information, sometimes you take a mistake or two, like you take the hit in time because you can. It gives you that cushion. But it's great. It's, I don't know, it's like meditative to play Picross. It's very fun. I don't know if you've never played Picross, I don't know if I could recommend this. I think I could recommend this if you've already played Picross and you already know the rules. But I think there's some amount of like explanation that can happen in a Picross game that this game probably has, just it's in Japanese, unfortunately, at least on Switch Online. So I think like if you could find another version of Picross, of which there are many, my personal favorite probably is Picross 3D for the Nintendo DS, not the 3DS, in spite of 3D being in the name. Although, you know what, that I don't think I would recommend that one as a first Picross. I think you should probably find something, because that one, the puzzles are 3D. So I take it back. That is not a good Picross to start with. Probably just like a standard. There's a Pokemon Picross. I don't know. That one's fun. If you can find just like a standard Picross. Picross is on the eShop on the Switch for sure. There's, I think, a few of them. Just find like a standard Picross if you're interested. And it's a kind of puzzle game, you know? And then some of them have character specific skins. So like Mario Picross, Mario's on the menu, and then they have the Wario puzzles, and those are kind of weird and fun. So I'd say it's a good Picross game. It's maybe just not a great like first Picross game. I will probably not play this game again, because I think if I'm gonna play Picross, I'm gonna play a better version of Picross. This one was pretty good, don't get me wrong. It's just, it came out in like 1990 whatever for the SNES. It is, at least the thing I think I can say about this one for Switch Online, and a lot of these we can look at because we played them all on Switch Online. We can look at them through the lens of accessing them through Switch Online, and this one is accessible, at least. You don't gotta go and buy, if you're paying for Switch Online, you got this one. You don't gotta go and buy another Picross. But it's still not an ideal Picross game, I don't think. So yeah, I'm almost leaning towards like probably not, if I'm being a bit more realistic, but that it just feels, because it's a tier list, it feels harsh to put it that far down. But anyway, maybe someday, like maybe if I'm perusing Switch Online or Nintendo Classics, as they call it now, and I'm just looking for something to play for 10-15 minutes or whatever in between stuff, this is a good game for that, I think. Yeah, Mario Super Picross. After that, second game we played was this can of worms. Second game we played was Kirby and the Amazing Mirror. So I thought this game was going to be just exclusively awesome. It's a Kirby game for the Game Boy Advance. It looks great. It's a baby game for baby boy for sure. You really need to go back and watch that stream. So I'm in that first level of that game in that stream, K, and I'm having the time of my life. The enemies are fun. The power-ups that Kirby gets are fun. The thing about this game too, it's like a Zelda Four Swords situation, but for Kirby, which I never really realized. The other three Kirby, if you're playing single player, the other three Kirbys are like there with you, and you can summon them to like attack shit. They give you like a cell phone that you can use to call your three Kirby friends. But you can play multiplayer with in this game up to 4 players. Again, similar to like a Zelda Four Swords situation. And this being on Switch Online, you and I could play Kirby and the Amazing Mirror online on Switch Online. So that's nice that we don't need to get our link cables out of storage or whatever. So yeah, starting this game, it was awesome. I was like, hell yeah. I was excited for this game going into it, and I'm playing it and I'm having an excellent time. And then gradually, after we do the first level, we go to this like hub area, which is also par for the course for Kirby. Then I start going into these other places, and then I start looping back to areas that I've already been. And then I think someone in chat was like, by the way, this is a Metroidvania. And I was like, what? And then I start looking at the map, and I'm trying to, like, to the best of my ability, figure out how on earth to read the map in this game. And I cannot even begin to figure out where there needed to be a giant red "you are here" sign for my dumbass to fucking figure out where on earth I was on this map for this game. Yeah, I think like going in, I did not know that this game was like formatted and structured this way. And if I had known that already, I don't know if it would have like softened the blow or whatever, but it fails as a Metroidvania, as a game that you need to that like there are maps and levels that like connect to each other, and if you need to go certain places to progress. So truly, I got so lost, I got so frustrated, and it went from being an awesome game to a game that I like don't really want to play, because I think about like truly this would be a game that I would follow a guide for, because I don't care to try to figure out how to get to the next thing, because the game, I don't think it sets you up for success. Good games like Metroid 2 is on this list. Metroid 2, I got a little lost or turned around or whatever from time to time, but for the most part, like, it's made to allow for you to like backtrack and whatever, and it's not like a terrible headache. And that game doesn't even have a map. Kirby has a map, and it's one of the worst maps I think I've ever had the displeasure of attempting to use. And two things are true. One, I'm a dummy, and I have little to no patience when things become frustrating. And two, this is a poorly designed map. And so the both of those things coming to a head of me being dumb and it being bad, like both are true. No dice. So my sweet good friend Dilbs was like, hey, I will play Kirby and the Amazing Mirror with you. And I was like, honestly, If you lead the way and then I just get to play Kirby, that sounds awesome, because the Kirby of it all is awesome. The presentation is excellent. The power-ups obviously are excellent. All of that stuff. It's a Kirby game. It's if it was formatted like any other Kirby game, it would be an excellent Kirby game. But I think its downfall is that it is structured as a Metroidvania, or whatever you want to call that genre. So, this is also a maybe someday based on whether or not I play with Dilbs. Or someone, like, if I play it multiplayer, and again, it's on Switch Online, so you can play it online with people, because again, as a Kirby game, it's a great Kirby game, and if I can just worry or focus on or enjoy the Kirby of it all, then it's great. But if I have to constantly be worrying about and thinking about how on earth to progress through the story, God, it was so frustrating. So yeah, with a guide or with literally a tour guide, another human being to play the game with me, to lead the way, I think this would be a fun game. I do not see myself going back to this one solo ever. It's like it would be in the never category for me to play this game single player. You know what I mean? And I do, like a lot of Nintendo series, I would like to start at the beginning and then work my way through the series chronologically. And inevitably, I think I will do that with Kirby. But when I get to this game, I will probably skip it when doing that, unless I can wrangle one of my friends to play with me. That's Kirby and the Amazing Mirror. Really strong start. I was so happy. I was delighted. I was truly delighted for that opening level of that game. It was awesome. And then everything went downhill from there. The third game that we played, oh boy, this is another can of worms, but it's a little more straightforward. The third game that we played was Turok 2. Seeds of Ruin, I think, is the subtitle for that one. Hopes were dashed, dreams were deferred. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it, for sure. Turok 2 was better than I was expecting, but I was expecting it to be like absolute dog shit, and it was like it was a stinky little doo-doo. It wasn't good, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't the worst. You know what I mean? Only kind of dog shit. And I don't know, it really reminded me of like Halo, like Halo 1 for sure. The thing with this game, if you're gonna play this game on Switch Online, you definitely need to rearrange your controls, which Switch Online thankfully allows you to do. You can make its control scheme a lot more I don't know, like modern friendly, or like with modern control schemes in mind. I guess you can rearrange that to make this more playable. But even after doing that, it still doesn't control very well. And for me, the ultimate hurdle for a game being bad, and we're gonna get to this looking at you, Bubsy, the main hurdle for a game being bad is that it is like actively working against you when you're trying to just simply move around, okay? So Turok, probably not, but never say never. I didn't hate it, granted. I also got a little bit lost trying to figure out how to get places while I was playing this. If I played this game, if I truly wanted to play this game in earnest, I would play it on Steam. I would play it on Steam with keyboard and mouse controls, where the frame rate is a lot better, and you thought it was going right to never. So this is the thing, right? My expectation is that it would be a direct to never game, a fully dog shit game, and instead it's just a little stinky. And that's not bad. I think I gave it like a 5 or something. I haven't written, I still have to write the mini reviews for Mario Strikers and F-Zero. Which I will do probably tonight after we're done. And then all of the reviews will be done if you want to read the reviews, but I'm pretty much giving them to you orally a little bit, doing this. yeah, I don't know. It's kind of fun. It's there's something almost cozy about like an old single player FPS. Like they don't really make them anymore. So it's fun to play a game like that. Like go back to a game like that. And I think if the controls for this game are the primary issue, and that would largely be solved if I play it, like you could get this game on Steam and play it with mouse and keyboard, then I would probably have like a decent to good time with this game. You know what I mean? Like the actual contents of the game itself are like pretty fun. It's just at least on Switch Online, even after adjusting the controls to make them make sense, just a little tough is all. Anyway, but that's Turok 2. Better than I thought it was going to be, but still not a good game. Well, I didn't have a great time. After that was Mario Paint. Mario Paint is tricky. I had this whole fucking tangent one day. Okay, you saw it. I had this whole tangent about how Dispatch isn't a video game. It's a movie. It's a show with limited interaction. But I was like, that's not a video game. And I was like, how the hell is Dispatch at the Game Awards if it's barely a video game? Anyway, it's a visual novel, whatever. I understand. It has interactivity in there. And so Mario Paint is similar in that like it's barely a game. I'm being too nice to the mirror. No. Okay, like this is not SABCD. Hello, Warlock. Is maybe someday. And that's how I feel. That's how I feel about Kirby. And if you weren't here to hear what I said about it, then you'll have to go back, I guess, to hear the rationale. Anyway, Mario Paint's barely a game. Mario Paint is a tool. Mario Paint is Microsoft Paint. It is GarageBand. You know? Like those aren't games. This is only a game because it is on the Super Nintendo. You know what I mean? The only game in Mario Paint is the fucking Fly Swatter mini game, arcade game, and that's the fucking that's fun to play for 2 minutes. I don't know. I got my high score in that, and then I moved on. But as far as like a creative tool goes, Mario Paint does a lot to make it fun and make it silly. Like definitely like this you can tell that like this was made with kids in mind. This was made with kids in mind, for kids to like fool around and be creative and try shit. And I think that's very fun. And Nintendo is doing this, like they're still having games come out. They had Game Maker's Garage on the Switch. And honestly, like the new Tamagotchi Life that's coming out, Nintendo has a lot of even in Donkey Kong Bonanza, they have that mode where you can like shape a piece of rock. You can mold a 3D piece of rock. Donkey Kong Bonanza has like Blender a Blender modeling mode in it. So forever, Nintendo has been like, hey, here is this thing. We can call it a game, whatever. But it will allow you, the creative person, to be creative with it. It is a sandbox for you. People call like Minecraft a sandbox game. Fucking Mario Paint is a sandbox game. Anyway, they're still doing that. They're still letting the player. I feel, especially lately on the Switch, I feel like a lot of their like ethos toward the way that they're making games is like putting a lot of control in the player's hand for them to make their own fun. Mario Maker, oh my god, Mario Maker, holy shit. They've got a bunch of games that is just like, we will give you the tools and we'll make it fun to use. That's important. It's important that it's fun. Not that it's like just functional. That's baseline, right? It's not just functional. They also just make these games fun to use. And Mario Paint is like the grandpappy of this. And it holds up. It still functions great. You know what? Using the Switch 2 mouse controls with it was pretty fun and more responsive and like accurate than I thought it was going to be. All of that to say, I do not have any desire to play it again. I got my fill. Because I am not a person who goes to games to be creative. There is something fun about the limited, like the thing that I would do again in Mario Paint probably would be make like the probably not, but the never say never of this is maybe I would go back to Mario Paint to like make a song again, but I am much more likely to use a real DAW. And even then, when I make like chiptunes and stuff, I use a website called Beatbox. Like I don't even use a real DAW. So it's a little hypocritical, but regardless, at least Beatbox is like, or play at a jam, play Mario Paint at a jam, huh? Anyway, so again, this is not to dunk on the quality of Mario Paint, but because of the nature of what the game is as a creative tool, I'm not artistic. Like I can't draw really. I did my best with Your Baby, but whatever. And I think that's a rare exception for me. The thing that I make is, if I'm gonna make anything, being music, it's very limited. It was fun to like fiddle with, pardon the pun, in Mario Paint for a bit, but it's not something that I actually want to return to. So again, you might look at this and be like, why the fuck is it next to Turok 2? But that's why I'm saying the words. That's why I'm saying the words out of my mouth to explain it. Anyway, after Mario Paint, we played, holy shit, ToeJam and Earl Panic on Funkotron. Hell yeah. What a video game. Where the hell is it? There it is, right at the end here. My webcam is blocking it. ToeJam and Earl Panic on Funkotron. I think the only reason this was requested, I think Scott requested it, is because it is in the We Shop Wednesday song, and that's so funny. That's kind of like the legacy of this game, I think. Or at least like the We Shop Wednesday song is like helping keep this game. Yeah. ToeJam and Earl in Panic on Funkotron. So playing it presentationally, this game is awesome. It's extremely of its time. It has like a pretty wacky and vibrant like color palette. They're making very liberal use of pinks and lime greens, and you're on an alien planet, and they definitely like make it weird, but like it's not just weird. It's like the North Star for this game was like, it has to be funky. Everything has to be funky. If it's not funky, then it's not going to make it into the final build of ToeJam and Earl in Panic on Funkotron. Everything has to be funky. Thankfully, the music is good. If the game was called Panic on Funkotron, and then the music wasn't funky, then we would have had a big problem. It drips 90s cool, absolutely. But it's like chill 90s cool. It's not like in your face 90s cool like Sonic. It's like chill 90s cool. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, it's not, you understand. You understand the difference. Could you imagine if something jazzy made it in? I think that would, jazzy in ToeJam and Earl would not be so out of place. I think that would have been fine. I think that would have been A-okay by me. And then the whole thing of like, this is effectively a 2D collect-a-thon where you play as ToeJam or Earl in single player. I think trying this game multiplayer would be fun, like playing a 2-player couch co-op where you get to play as both ToeJam and Earl. It almost plays as a as an arcade beat 'em up in multiplayer. I think it would be similar to that. But you got to go around these levels finding humans, and you have to capture the humans in jars. So you have a projectile attack, which is throwing jars at humans, and you have to throw enough jars at a human until it captures the human in the jar. And that's a strange that's a strange conceit, but whatever. But it effectively makes it a collect-a-thon where you have to go around these levels and find all of the humans that are hiding in the level and then catch them in the jars. And then and only then, it is mandatory, in fact, for you to find and catch all of the humans for you to move on to the next level. They don't let you move on. Thankfully, they did put like a handy dandy like arrow in the level. It would almost be like, imagine if you could play Metroid. Imagine if you could play Metroid 2 and there was an arrow on screen that constantly pointed you in the direction of the next Metroid for you to go fight. ToeJam and Earl has an arrow in like the corner of the screen that points to the nearest human that you haven't found yet. And sometimes they're hiding, like there's a lot of, like, you have to interact with elements of the level, whether that's like shaking a tree or like parting the leaves of a bush or something, or checking them. I think you can check manhole covers in this. Anyway, there are things in this game that you can check, and there will be humans hiding in those places. And so you need to explore these 2D levels to find the humans that are hiding, and then throw a jar at them to collect them, and then you can move on to the next level. And so there is amount of, not backtracking as much as it is like hide and seek. And that, I think, can just get a little tedious of searching for something. And thankfully they give you the arrow. This would be significantly worse if they didn't give you the arrow. But yeah, so I think as a 2D collect-a-thon, ordinarily when we think of collect-a-thons, it's like Banjo-Kazooie, right? Like a collect-a-thon almost by definition has to be 3D, but this is effectively a 2D collect-a-thon. But you have to find all of the humans in order to progress. So I think something that maybe could have balanced that out a little bit is maybe if it didn't require finding every single human in a stage, but maybe you had to find like, I don't know, 90% of them, give or take, in order to move on. And then like you could 100% the level if you found all of them. But it would have been nice, because sometimes you get to a level and you're like, oh, I missed someone somewhere, and you got to go back through the level and kind of search again for the guy that you missed. I think it would have been nice if like you got most of them, if it would have let you, if the guy at the spaceship was like, you got most of them, good enough. And that also would have been kind of the vibe, I think. But then the story of the game is that you need to round up all of the humans and send them back to Earth, because they're stealing the funk of Funkotron or something. Like at points the game will go like grayscale monochrome, and because the humans are stealing the funk or something is also part of the story. So I guess narratively it also makes sense that you need to round up all of them in order to restore the funk. Anyway, I don't really want to go back to this game, I fear. I had my time with it and it was neat. This, I think, unfortunately, this is going to be a trend for like older games. I think a lot of older games are going to end up in this category, I fear. But yeah, I had a decent time with it when we played it, but I don't have any desire really to go back to it. It was fun. It was fun to... I think it was fun to see and listen to. Maybe not as fun to play. After that, we got Paper Mario. So this is the only repeat. I'm surprised that there weren't more repeats, in fact. This was the only repeat. We played Paper Mario for a previous Request-A-Thon, and is it even actually, did we do it for Request-A-Thon 2? Is that video still up? Or was it for it must have been Request-A-Thon 1, I guess, that we played Paper Mario? I think so. Yeah, because it's not here. Anyway. Paper Mario? Yeah. Absolutely. Definitely. 100%. I would like, I've mentioned this before, I would like to play the turn-based Mario games in order, starting with Super Mario RPG, and then Paper Mario would be after that. So I just got to play through Mario RPG, and then I can probably continue. But the nice thing about doing this actually is we returned to this game after not playing it for like... There's an even badder bitch in that game, if you can believe it. Is it Goombella, or is Goombella in Thousand Year Door? What was I saying? I don't remember. She is in Thousand Year Door. The thing about returning to this game after like playing the beginning of it and then not touching it for a while, is I remembered more than I thought I would. And you know what? The nice thing about having pretty much all of these recorded is if I really wanted to, I could go back and watch what I did to refresh myself. So the thing that I've said about this is like, I've played these games for Request-A-Thon, but I think if I pick them back up again, just in my own time, I would start fresh. And I think actually I don't need to do that. I think like I have Mario RPG for the Switch, like the Switch version. I think I can just like continue playing that, and then eventually when I beat that, I can just kind of pick up the Paper Mario save that we have from Request-A-Thon so far. That seems fine to me. I don't know. It's been 2 years since we played it the first time for Request-A-Thon 1. Okay, so yeah. But man, yeah. Excellent game. I don't know. They nailed it. They nailed it. I don't know. I think it's so well written. It's funny. It has a lot of charm. Presentationally, it's outstanding. And the turn-based part of it all, the badge part of it all, the customizability with badges is excellent. The charm oozes. The charm oozes absolutely. Yeah, I would love to play Mario RPG and then this and then Thousand Year Door, and I would probably play the Switch version of Thousand Year Door. And then you know what? After that, actually, I would probably play like Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga or something like that. And then I feel like I would have I feel like those are like the cream of the crop of a turn-based Mario. Maybe like a Bowser's Inside Story also would be good for Mario and Luigi. But as Paper Mario, I know has taken a bit of a shift, and I'm much more interested in the ones that I know are good. And if I really, really, really wanted to get into the rest of that series, then I could play like Super on the Wii or whatever, and then maybe try the rest of them. I think like I have Super for the Wii, and that's, you know, whatever. That one is a bit of a shift, but yeah. Their first outing, they nailed it, and from what I understand, for Thousand Year Door, they just nailed it again in a different way, maybe, or maybe a similar way. I don't know. I find it hard to talk about games when they're really good, because I find I just end up saying that they're really good. I think because I find it easier to have like a pointed critique about something, and then I can talk about that. Like, this is the reason why I didn't like this thing. But if I only liked a thing, then I just say, yeah, I liked it. And that doesn't sound like resounding, or like it doesn't sound like I liked it actually. It sounds like I'm lying. But truly, like, I have little to nothing to complain about this game. It was an excellent game. It is an excellent game, rather. And yeah, I think I might have fucked myself by there was an NPC in Toad Town that we talked to who like resorted the amount of health, FP, and badge points we had, and we ended up coming out with a bunch of badge points. But I think I took a big hit on health, and specifically I think I lost some FP, which stings. So there's part of me who wishes I like didn't talk to that NPC, or like that I knew that would happen before I talked to them. Anyway, yeah, that's Paper Mario. I had a great time with it. I definitely will play it again for sure. Just got to play Mario RPG first. I think I said that the first time also. Okay, something else. The game that we played after that was Rystar, or Ristar. I think it's Rystar. I'm going to stick with Rystar. Rystar is pretty cool. Rystar is a Sega game made by the Sonic people, who I guess would go on to make Knights and stuff. And Rystar had some pretty fun ideas. It was like slower and more manageable to control than a Sonic. So like as a 2D platformer on the Genesis, it definitely needed to be different from Sonic, but there's still some Sonic DNA in there for sure. The levels are there's like multiple, if you look at the level like a layered cake, there are multiple ways to go through a level horizontally, which is definitely a part of the Sonic DNA. Rystar as a mascot, I think is fun. There's a lot of character in the idle animations for Rystar in the levels. There was like level specific idle animations. That's really great, like attention to detail. And yeah, presentationally, I don't know, it's just like a gorgeous Sega Genesis game made by the Sonic people. So yeah, it looks excellent and it rules. The thing that Rystar does, like Rystar the character does as his like attack, is he stretches his arms out in front of him, and if he hits something with his arms or with his hands outstretched, then it dies. And he can also reach his arms out and he can like swing on stuff with his outstretched arms. And if he grabs onto something and he spins around a bunch and builds up some momentum, and then you let go, then you can launch as a shooting star, and then you're like invincible in this state. But you're also, this is much more of the Sonic DNA, where you move very fast in this like shooting star mode. I think like Rystar is pretty good as a 2D platformer. It's tough. It's like, of the time, I think it is tough. It is a tough game of its time. This one is also hard to talk about. Like, I think if I kept playing this game, I could eventually beat it, but we definitely took advantage of some save states for my sanity, and also for the sake of the stream and being able to see more of the game. So I'm a little torn when I need to do that, but whatever. It is what it is. This one's hard to talk about, I think, because I think it's a good game. I just don't want to play it again. I think I I think similar to Toe Jam and Earl, I kind of had my fill. You know what I mean? I tried it. I liked it well enough. I think Rystar, I'm glad I like know who Rystar is now. That's great. It feels more educational than anything. Very similar to Toe Jam and Earl, 2 Genesis games that I'm glad that I tried, but I have little to no desire to go back to, I fear. I know I am so close, Hawkhead. I know. We finished the stream and you were like, you have a level left. And I was like, damn, very close. And but I don't, there's nothing in me that's like, you need to go and finish Rystar. Like, I think I'm good. But I don't know. But it's not a bad game. It's not a bad game. I would recommend, I think this is good. I think I would recommend Rystar to anyone who likes 2D platformers, particularly if they're into older 2D platformers, you know. And I would encourage using save states for your sanity. It's okay. Anyway, this one I think is going to go right next to Toe Jam and Earl in the probably not but never say never. I'm a little more inclined maybe to put Rystar in the maybe someday. You know what? Hawkhead, because we're so close and there's like a level left, I'll put Rystar in maybe someday. Okay, that's the compromise I can make, I guess. I don't know. We were probably getting close to the end of Toe Jam and Earl also, but yeah, only having a level left. Good night. Yeah, you'll take him maybe someday. It's important to be here for the tier list video so you can advocate for the game that you requested. After Rystar, we played Donkey Kong Country. Hell yeah, dude. Absolutely. There's a lot of games for Request-A-Thon that I'll play for the stream and then I'll finish and then I don't think about them again. I don't have a desire to go back to them. Donkey Kong, as soon as we were done, I was like, I want to play more Donkey Kong. I want to play more Donkey Kong right now. So I absolutely am going to go back to this one. And the nice thing about Donkey Kong Country is it is the first of its series. And so my dumb need to play a series like chronological thing that I have with these, Country is first. I can just play Country. I can just go back to it. I can just pick up where we left off. And I think I'm probably going to soon. I had a lot of fun. This is also a hard game. Of the time, this is a hard 2D platformer. But I think the thing that Donkey Kong Country does is it knows that it's hard in a way that some of these like old, looking at you Bubsy, looking at you Claymates, to an extent looking at you Rystar, some of these old 2D platformers like are just hard because that was the thing to be at the time. From the idea from arcade cabinets of we need to make sure kids put quarters in machines. We need to make these games last superficially longer than they have to, because these are short like nowadays these are short games that you can beat in like an afternoon or two thanks to the advent of save states. But you know, initially these were hard games because people were generally worse at video games than they are now because of just general video game literacy. And there was still this thought of kids need to put quarters in machines. When someone buys a game for their home console, it needs to feel like it was worth it. So the amount of time needs to be superficially increased. And so the game is going to be at points unfairly more difficult to just prolong. And a person's going to stick with a game for longer back in 1990 whatever because they have fewer things to do. They have fewer games for their console. So they're gonna ride out Toe Jam and Earl longer. Not that that's even like that's a bad example, I think. They're gonna ride out Claymates for longer, I think, because they got it for Christmas and they don't have many other video games for their Super Nintendo. So that's what they have to play, so that's what they're gonna play. and they're going to stick with it a hell of a lot longer than I'm going to stick with it in a world with a billion more things that you could be doing with your time comparatively. Donkey Kong Country recognizes the value of first, like, bananas in its game. Bananas being a way, when you get 100 bananas, you get a life, you get a 1-up. And not just that, but also the red balloons. It, like, is pretty, like, generous, I would say, with the amount of, like, lives that it gives you, which I think balances how tough the game can be. And then not only that, I think the save points through the levels are very, like, strategically placed. They feel, dude, the save points in Donkey Kong Country feel like a bench in Hollow Knight, man. It feels like such a nice relief to be like, I have this checkpoint, this, like, foothold after getting through a bunch of those levels. But I think the thing that is important about Donkey Kong is the fact that you can just replay that first level over and over, getting bananas, getting red balloons, and you can farm lives. And this might also be true for some of these other games, but I just feel like it's so much more intentional in Country, where they set the game up and they also set up these red balloons in the first level in a way that, like, forces you to get better at movement. Like, they have the red balloons above the trees in the first level, and if you can't get to them fast enough, then they float up and above the level and you can't get to them anymore. So there's it has this, like, mini speed run built into the first level of the game to make, with this incredible incentive of an extra life in this hard game that makes you value having lives in a way that, like, modern Mario games are, like, pretty forgiving and also give you a lot of lives. So getting a 1-up in a modern Mario game, like, doesn't feel as substantial as getting a red balloon in Donkey Kong Country. So, but the fact again that, like, they use the value of the lives in this game and the red balloons to, by replaying the first level of the game, teach you to move better as Donkey and Diddy. Genius. They fucking cooked, to put it in in fewer words, I guess. I think it's an excellent game. I had the most trouble with the minecart level, and I had the most fun with the minecart level. Yeah, it's just it absolutely holds up astonishingly well. It controls really well. It has an excellent look and vibe to it. The music, obviously, I mean, the music in Donkey Kong Country, forget about it. It's a masterpiece. It's a masterpiece. It is one of the 2 games for Request-A-Thon that I gave a 10. So yeah, and I'm down. And Mo requested Donkey Kong Country and was like, I'm so glad that you like Donkey Kong Country. I was like, yeah. I was like, I knew that I would, and then I was like, I liked it even more than I thought that I would. Like, I was like, I was pretty sure going into it that it was going to be really good, and then playing it, it was like really good and then some. It was like exceptionally good. The glazing is crazy, but it's warranted. Anyway, yeah, I'm absolutely just gonna keep plugging away at DKC. And again, it's nice this being the first one of its series.
The glazing is crazy.
The glazing is crazy. Thank you, Matt Tam. It's nice that this is the first of its series, so then I think I would like to just keep playing DKC 2, DKC 3, and then move on to the modern Donkey Kong countries. Country Returns, Tropical Freeze. There's 5? There's 5 Donkey Kong countries. 1, 2, 3. Returns, Tropical Freeze. Right? Am I missing any? I think there's some like Donkey Kong. Are there Donkey Kongs for the Game Boy that are like Donkey Kong Land? Or am I making that up? Did the Game Boy Color ones count? I think that's what I'm thinking of, is the Game Boy Color Donkey Kongs. What are they called? Donkey Kong Game Boy color games. Or are those just ports of country? Okay, no, yeah, there is, yeah, similar to Mario, the Mario lands. There are Donkey Kong lands. Donkey Kong Land 1 and 2 and 3. There's at least 3. I think there's 3 countries and 3 lands. Yeah, I would maybe have to try Donkey Kong Land and see what it's like. Are these on Switch Online? I don't even remember. Anyway, but I think I'm definitely more interested in the countries than the lands. So I like vaguely remember that the lands existed. There are also Game Boy ports of the country games. Anyway, yeah, I'll give to go back to the to the tier list. I will give the lands a maybe someday, but I will give all of the countries a definitely. GBA had DKC ports. DK Land aren't direct ports. But is Donkey Kong Land? That's like a different game, right? Donkey Kong Land is a different game. The lands are on NSO. Okay. The Game Boy Color games are new levels. They're super cool. The first couple levels of Land 1 are the country levels, and then it diverts. Okay. DK Land 2 is extremely similar to Donkey Kong Country 2. The other 2 lands are a little different. Okay. Yeah. The lands, I think, are less of a priority. But the countries are much more of a priority, I think. Anyway, excellent game. Exceptional game. After Donkey Kong Country, we played yet another excellent game, Luigi's Mansion. And this was one of, same thing with Donkey Kong Country, actually. These were both games that were up for the bonus game. Sorry, I'm not going to get to Metroid 2 tonight. I will play Metroid, I was thinking maybe Monday night. I will play Metroid 2. Luigi's Mansion. Wow. Talk about a game with character and charm and personality. Luigi himself is excellent. He's so spooked. Luigi's one of your fave streams for this year. Thank you, Kay. Kay, you made a great point. You were like, I love how Luigi's nose like bobbles up and down when he moves, and I hadn't even noticed that. And there's a lot to love about the way that Luigi is animated in this game. Very surprised to see no one else vote for it. I'm shocked, to be honest, to be totally honest with you, I'm shocked that Metroid 2 was like far and away the winner. Like, I think everything got 1. Luigi's Wario World and Donkey Kong Country all got 1, and then Metroid 2 got 4 votes. Wait, apparently the people really want to see more Metroid 2. And again, I was happy with any of the 4 of these games that won, but I was surprised that it was Metroid. Anyway, we're talking about Luigi's Mansion. Luigi's Mansion is really, really good. The thing I think about Luigi's, if I can complain about one thing, what did I write? Hang on, I'm checking what did I write about Luigi's? I mean, I gave Luigi's a 9 out of 10. What was my complaint about Luigi's? Oh. I think my complaint about Luigi's maybe is with some of the ways that you fight the boss ghosts. Some of it is just kind of waiting. And I don't like waiting. It's the same reason that I don't like stealth. Some of the boss ghosts felt like some of them you had to do some like genuine problem solving to sort out like how to stun them and then suck them. Some of them it just kind of unless maybe I just like didn't figure out the puzzle for that ghost, which is totally possible because again, dummy. But some of them, it just kind of felt like I was waiting for them to let me suck them. So I think, but that wasn't all of them, and it's only really a minor thing, I guess, because I was still like very much engaged with the ghost boss fights during the game. And I think the thing that blows that like minor critique fully out of the water is the rest of the game. The rest of the game is astounding. Presentationally, it's like also a masterpiece. I think the main theme kind of like being this like purveying, like the theme song. Like Luigi can hum it. He can like nervously hum it as he's like walking around. That's really good. Yeah, it's a great game. I'm glad they've made like more of them, even though like Dark Moon wasn't the best. I'm glad like 3 kind of saved it, and then 3 is also a really good Luigi's Mansion, but I'm glad I finally played the first one to see where it started, and it's really good. I'm having another tough time talking about it, similar to Paper Mario, because it was just really good. But I think more than anything, the expressiveness of it, the atmosphere of it, all of that are like its like greatest strengths. Egad as a character is great. Love Egad. I guess that's it. I don't know. I feel like I need to get better about talking about why I think games are good. Because I feel I'm just kind of like throwing adjectives. I'm just like, X is astounding, Y is magnificent, and Z is spectacular. And you're like, yep, that works for me. I gotta get better at being like, why? Anyway, I'll work on that. Luigi's Mansion is really good. And I stand by that. You may quote me on that. Luigi's Mansion, really good. After Luigi's Mansion, oh god. After Luigi's Mansion, we played Claymates, requested by LRXC, which I think tells you everything you need to know about Claymates. I don't know, man. The great shame about Claymates is that the actual Claymates themselves, the characters that you get to play as, are fun and actually can control decently well. It's the fucking levels in this game, dude. Jesus Christ. It's awful. Best stream of Request-A-Thon? I think the fact that we stopped playing Claymates and instead opted to watch the GDQ speedrun of Claymates it's everything you need to know. It wasn't fun to play. I was so glad to not have to play it anymore that I just threw on the speedrun and then started playing Animal Crossing. But I think that's a bummer for the characters of Claymates. I think the Claymates, Muckster, Uzi, the mouse, who can go fast as fuck. I think I definitely missed out on the whole fact that you can hold a button to dash for Claymates. That was definitely, I missed that one for sure. And who else? Muckster, Uzi, Globmeister. Globmeister the squirrel. That fucking demon dog boss fight. Jesus Christ. I don't know, man. The levels for this game were some of the worst that I've ever had the displeasure of playing. And it's a shame because the characters are fun to play. The Globmeister. The characters are fun to play and control. And actually they control decently well. Even when you're in the little clay ball, when you're at your most vulnerable. Even when you're at your little clay ball, that is like not the worst to control. Not the best, certainly, but that needs to be not the best to make getting the upgrade to one of the claymates who move a lot better feel good. But the levels in this game are atrocious and random and haphazard and yeah, not well thought out, I fear. Not good. So we have our first never. Don't tell Logan. Logan will be so mad at me, and he'll come in here guns ablazing, hashtag justice for claymates, and I don't need that on my conscience. Don't play claymates. Avoid at all costs. Watch the GDQ speedrun if you must. Honestly, it's kind of a fun speedrun to watch, but yeah. But the mouse, Uzi the mouse. Yeah, if I made another tier list of all of the claymates characters, Uzi would be S tier for sure. And there's like a bird, there's like a dodo bird that I think their name is Dodo. They're not a dodo bird. They're a bird and their name is Dodo. And we played for them. We played as that one for like 2 seconds, and we only played as Globmeister for the demon dog boss fight. For the most part, a lot of it, like the levels you do play as the mouse, Uzi, and the cat, Muckster, like the names of the claymates. Anyway, don't play claymates. You can skip claymates. I think I can say that with authority. What did we play after claymates? We played Wario World, an absolute banger. Holy shit, what a good game. Another Collect-A-Thon. This one's a 3D Collect-A-Thon, though the levels are a bit more... the levels almost reminded me of Sonic levels a little bit. If like maybe the like Tails levels of Sonic levels where like they're not fast, but they're 3D, but you're still mostly going through hallways. You know what I mean? Anyway, Wario World's really good. Wario World succeeds as a Collect-A-Thon because it greatly incentivizes the Collect-A-Thon of it all. It makes it fun to go and find all the things. In Toe Jam and Earl, when I got to the end of a level and I didn't find all of the humans, I would like roll my eyes and be like, okay, I guess I'll go do that. In Wario World, when I didn't find all of the things, it would present me with a balloon that would take me to the beginning of the level, and I would excitedly take the balloon to get to play through the level again and say, hell yeah, I get to play through the level again, and also try to find the like remaining things that I'm looking for. You're not drowning in collectibles? No, but the collectibles feel thoughtfully placed. The collectibles themselves are fun to find. Like, that's important. Like, the collectible itself needs to be fun. The fact that like some of the collectibles are pieces of a golden statue of Wario's body, and so sometimes you can open the level and you just see like Wario's feet and his shoulders and his mustache. Like, you've collected 3 pieces of Wario. You have to go get more. And then some of the collectibles were like, I mean, I think the first couple of ones to be on brand, because Wario's a treasure hunter who goes and gets like expensive things. The first couple collectibles are like rare gemstones, and then I think in the second level they're like fine china, you know what I mean? But then there's another level where the collectibles are like musical instruments. And also, I think a couple of the collectibles in some of the levels are like Nintendo consoles. I'm a sucker for that. I like, they put the real world stuff in Pikmin, or they put real world stuff in Animal Crossing or whatever. That is also in Wario World, but they're collectibles in the levels. Very fun. The pause music, Chef's Kiss, the vibe is good, and the vibe is Wario. Absolutely. Charles was cooking. Charles Martinet with the voice acting. Absolutely. He was. Yeah, I don't know. Wario World is like, the levels are long but not too long, and they all have a boss fight at the end of them. So rather than having like every world has 2 levels, each with a boss fight at the end, and then the world itself has like 1 more boss fight. But the levels themselves are like expansive and explorable, and they have their own themes. So they feel like, again, it feels closer to the levels in a Sonic game, honestly, where they're longer. But in Wario World, yeah, finding stuff is fun. Being a treasure hunter is fun. Wario himself, his move set, the amount of ways that Wario can fuck up enemies in this game, holy shit. He's punching and kicking, he's headbutting, that's all fine and dandy. He can ground pound, ground slam, that's great. And then he can fucking pick up a guy and spin him around and then throw him at a bunch of other guys. And the cream of the crop, my favorite move, is he can pick up a guy, jump in the air, hit the ground pound button, and then fucking pile drive the motherfucker. And sometimes even, this is a way that you can interact with the level and find, like, get into rooms of a level, is you have to pile drive an enemy through a trap door or something. The tombstone pile drive. Yeah, that's sick as hell. That's so fun that they were like, what if Wario pile drived a son of a bitch? And then the spinning move I didn't use nearly as often, because I find anything that asks you to like spin the stick, I just like, I'm over it already. But yeah, I used the pile drive often for Wario for sure. It was very fun. So his move set is fun. So like using him, playing as Wario is fun. And then going around the levels, finding stuff is fun. It controls well. And then the boss fights themselves, some of them were kind of whatever. Some of them are Demon Baby. Demon Baby was a bit of an ordeal, but other than that, I think the bosses are relatively sound. An amount of, problem solving to figure out like how to damage them for every boss. That's always fun. Yeah, overall, an excellent game. The added bonus of getting to play demos for the WarioWare micro games in Wario World is very cool. That being lost on Switch Online is a bummer, but WarioWare micro games, mega micro games for the GBA is just on Switch Online anyway, so you can just go play that game, I guess. So it's not the end of the world. Yeah, excellent game. Definitely want to get back to it. Probably just continue from where we left off. And as you can see, we have 3 games here that were all bangers that were up for the bonus game. So yeah, I definitely want to get back to all of these. And I mean, these are all, big Nintendo games. Surprise, surprise. I think the biggest surprise for me so far is that like Kirby isn't also up here. But anyway, I talked about Kirby. Next up, after Wario World, The Legend of Zelda, The Wind Waker. That's a probably for me. Please understand. I didn't grow up with Zelda. I don't have the way that I feel about Pokemon is I think how people feel about Zelda, and I don't have that. I think Zelda's cool as a series, and they have great characters and all of that stuff. And frankly, having already gotten through Outset Island, I mean, going into playing Wind Waker, I didn't know that Outset Island was going to be a thing, and now we've gotten past it. So I think I am less incentivized. If I was gonna play Wind Waker in earnest, I would play the Wii U version. Okay. I don't want to play the Wii U version because I know that I have to do Outset Island again, and I don't want to do Outset Island again. But my NSO save has gotten past Outside Island, but that's not the Wii U version. Do you see my dilemma? If I could just take the progress that I made in the NSO version and put it in the Wii U version, Forsaken Fortress, is that not Outside Island? On the bright side, you know what to do now. I do know what to do now. I just like super don't want to do it again. It was not, I hate stealth, and that was really bad stealth. For stealth, Outside Island's your hometown? Oh, I talked about this on the latest episode of Frostbites. And I thought the bad place was Outside Island. Damn, I sound like an idiot. Anyway, yeah, what I mean is Forsaken Fortress. I hope people grok that. That I'm just mixing up the names of places. My bad. Outside Island is your hometown. Forsaken Fortress is the bad place. Okay. Forsaken Fortress sucks. I don't want to do Forsaken Fortress again. Anyway, otherwise, we got past it. We got to Dragon Roost, all that stuff. We met Tingle. That was all great. So, like, great game. Don't get me wrong. Really great game. Zelda, for me, I think just in general is less of a priority. Like, I feel more of an inclination to play a bunch of other Nintendo series before I want to play Zelda. Just because I feel like Zelda takes more out of me or something. And I don't have that connection to it to where it like feels special. This is especially true, I think, unfortunately, for 3D Zeldas. I did really like Ocarina, but I haven't touched Ocarina since we played it for Request-A-Thon. And it's just kind of like, I think about playing any of the 3D Zeldas, and I just think that like it's going to be some amount of daunting, I fear. I think I'm much more inclined to play a 2D Zelda. That feels more my speed. Feels maybe more similar control-wise because of Pokemon. But yeah, I think I would be more likely to play like Minish Cap, Link to the Past, Link Between Worlds, the Link's Awakening remake on Switch, Echoes of Wisdom, all of those games. I think I would want to play sooner than like all of the 3D Zeldas. And that is just by virtue of the 3D Zeldas being 3D and being bigger, just the scope of these games. And that's not anything against these games. These are good games. They're just not what I'm personally looking for currently. But I did really like Wind Waker. Wind Waker is an excellent presentation. It looks great on Switch too. But I think if I were to play Wind Waker in earnest, I would probably play the Wii U version. Unless, of course, they bring that version to Switch, which people have been wanting them to do for years now, both that and the Twilight Princess HD version. But same thing for Twilight Princess. I think I would want to play the HD version of that game. Or the GameCube game, maybe. The GameCube version of it, rather. That's what we did for Request-A-Thon. Did we play? I don't remember if we played the GameCube version or the Wii version. I think we played the GameCube version because I think I would have remembered swinging the Wiimote a bunch to swing my sword. Anyway, yeah, sorry. This is why it's in probably. I'll probably play Wind Waker at some point when I get over my like mental hurdle with 3D Zelda. And I'm glad that I played it for Request-A-Thon. It was fun. In spite of Check's Notes, Forsaken Fortress, it was fun. Other than that, I think Outside Island, that's so funny. I couldn't remember the name of the starting island, but even though I was saying it, just thinking it was a different place. Anyway, whatever. Yeah, Outside Island is great. And then the island that you get to, Windfall, I think, the merchant island where Tingle is. That's great. Tingle's great. The boat is very fun. The boat in Wind Waker is cool. I would be curious to see like how that progresses and how the boat can like be upgraded and stuff. I'm assuming it can be. And then yeah, Dragon Roost is when Wind Waker started to feel like other Zeldas, or at least from what I've played, it's Dragon Roost is when it started to feel like Ocarina, I guess. It's like this place with these people. They have a problem. You help them solve it via puzzle action, puzzle platforming, etc. Anyway, swinging your sword. That's Wind Waker. I'm sorry. I feel like I'm getting less and less eloquent as the night goes on. Jesus Christ. After Wind Waker. Okay. Here's the thing about Bubsy. Bubsy in claws encounters of the furred kind. This would be next to ToeJam and Earl, next to Rystar. Easy if it wasn't fucking broken. So presentationally, Bubsy is very similar to these other games, okay? Bubsy as a mascot. Pretty good mascot. A little plain, but you know, whatever. The presentation, the sprites, the artwork in this game is great. The music is fun. Bubsy himself is animated with a lot of like character and charm, and that is fun. I'm a sucker for that. I mentioned Rystar's idle animations. Bubsy also has some like pretty fun, and like, you know, Bubsy is also trying to do the cool 90s thing. Definitely like a Sonic inspired character for sure. So Bubsy controls like fine, and it gives you some nice options with the camera. Actually, it lets you, with using the right and left bumpers, you can look to the right or you can look to the left of a level. This is more of a 2D platformer where the goal is just to get to the end of the level, but there's still stuff in the level for you to collect. Not a collect-a-thon. Definitely just like a go from left to right. What's up, Hoop Dog? Great to see you. But yeah, the goal for Bubsy is just to get to the flagpole at the end of the level, right? Just like a Mario. That's fine. You can use you can hold down on the D-pad, and then the camera like scrolls down to show you below. You can hold up and you can look up. All good, right? And so at the very beginning of Bubsy, honestly, when I first started moving around, getting a handle on the controls and stuff, I was like, this actually could be not bad. This seems like a perfectly okay 2D platformer, similar to ToeJam and Rystar and Claymates. And I was like, this is going to be probably fine, actually. Bubsy has slopes where Bubsy like moves automatically. When you're on the ground and you're walking, you need to like hold the button. Like most games, you need to hold the button in order for Bubsy to move in that direction on the ground. And then when Bubsy encounters a slope, he starts moving automatically, not sliding, like still kind of slowly walking down the slope. And you need to like hit the opposite direction to, I don't even remember if that makes him like stop or if he starts going the other way. But anyway, he moves automatically on slopes. And on the ground, this is not that big of a deal. I like my first death in Bubsy. There's like, you go straight, and then there's a slope, a small slope downwards, and then there's an enemy at the end of the slope. And I like started running. He also like picks up speed like quicker than I was expecting. And he can get to like a top speed that is like Sorry, faster than I was expecting. So again, there's some definite like Sonic inspiration here, right? Where you can, if you get good, I think part of the point of playing through a Bubsy level is to try to do it quickly. There is a timer in the level. Both Bubsy and Claymates actually have a 10-minute timer for their levels. So I think part of the incentive here also is to try to get through the level quickly. And so I died running quicker than I thought I would, and then I go down this slope and I try to stop, and I run into this enemy, and I was like, I feel like my timing I feel like I recognized that there was an enemy, and my timing was such that I shouldn't have hit that enemy, but fair enough. It's the first time playing this game. Evidently, I just have to get used to the way that Bubsy moves. I'm still giving Bubsy, at this point, the benefit of the doubt. Still think it's a perfectly fine 2D platformer. So I play later into the level, and then there's this like long, like 45-degree angle, like street with a bunch of houses in the background, but you can jump onto the sloped roofs of a bunch of the houses. And so I'm platforming on pretty much exclusively slopes. Okay? The roofs of these houses. There's enemies on the roofs of these houses, and there's some collectibles. So I'm jumping around on the roofs of these houses, and it just feels weird. I'm moving around, but like it's not, something's not right. It's not responsive. It's not going the way that, like, for every other 2D platformer I've played in my life, Bubsy is not moving the way that, like, I'm used to a character in a game like this moving. And then I realize I jump in the air above a slope, and I'm not holding a direction. I jump in the air, and then Bubsy moves to the side above the slope in the direction of the slope going down. So if you were on the ground, this would be the direction that Bubsy moves down the slope. This movement happens in the air above slopes. Any slope that you are above in Bubsy, like, provides its slope physics when you're above it. So this makes the 2D platformer of Bubsy so fucking frustrating to try to control. I was pulling my hair out. And so we gave it a try, and then I realized that this was the case with the slopes in Bubsy. And I was joking with Max. Max requested this game, maybe in earnest, maybe because he hates me. And I was like, Max, bestie, any other games on Switch Online that you might want to see instead? And he was like, I don't know, you could pop on Path of Radiance. And I was like, say less. So then we moved on from Bubsy to Path of Radiance. A couple hours into Path of Radiance, we go back to Bubsy to give it another try. I was like, let me at least get to the end of level 1 of Bubsy. And I had so much trouble fighting against the physics of these fucking slopes. There's so many instances where Bubsy moves in a direction and you're not touching left or right at all. You're just jumping and Bubsy is moving. And it makes it just unplayable. One of the worst games I've ever had the displeasure of playing, which is a shame. Presentationally, it's like pretty good, you know? It's like par for the course for the rest of these games. But something got fucked up, okay? When they were making Bubsy, something went horribly wrong. I don't know if it's the NSO port of this game. Like, I almost want to try like an original copy of Bubsy on the Super Nintendo to be like, is this actually like for real and for true how this game is? Or is it like an NSO issue or something? Because it is like a newer game on NSO. I don't know, man. But for my money, for what I played, just unplayable. Just unplayable, right? Like, the first major hurdle is like, is the game actively working against you so that it like isn't fun to play? It isn't fun to simply move to control the character. And Bubsy isn't fun. So Bubsy is not. Oh my god. I'm gonna crash out just thinking about it. I had a terrible time. It is a terrible game because of this. Okay? Don't get it twisted. I'll be nice about the presentation, but it is a terrible game because of this. Anyway, after Bubsy, thankfully, by the grace of Max, we got to play Fire Emblem Path of Radiance. What a good game! Wow, thank goodness. The most recent addition to the GameCube collection on Switch Online. An infamously expensive GameCube game to try to find a physical of nowadays. So emulating it was pretty much the only reasonable option for most people. Kind of like the GameCube Pokemon games, admittedly. But Path of Radiance is a great game. I had a lot of fun with it. I've gotten some like mixed and like different not recommendations, like advice. My thing with Fire Emblem is I don't know how to be good at it yet. And I would love to learn. I would love to be good at Fire Emblem. And for the most part, I feel like I get it pretty much, like, until I don't. Like, I'll have an instance where I'll just be like, how do I do this? Or like, what am I missing? I'm definitely missing something with Fire Emblem. But anyway, Fire Emblem, it's the Ike game. Ike is the guy for this one. And the story of this one is that Ike's dad is the leader of this, like, we like Ike. We do like Ike. Hashtag we like Ike. Ike's dad is the leader of this, like, band of mercenaries. And Ike is, I guess, a teenager. And he wants to become a mercenary. And he's in training. And finally he gets his chance. And he starts to be able to go on some missions, and then very quickly starts to get to lead missions, because eventually he's going to take over from his dad as the leader, because nepotism. And so the story is about that, and Ike grappling with Ike pretty much has like imposter syndrome, now that I think about it, where he's like, am I actually good enough to be able to be doing this and to be like leading these missions with these, like, leading these other people who have more experience than me, just because I am the boss's son. Anyway. And so it is just good. It's just like good old Fire Emblem tactics, turn-based tactics gameplay. It's great. I don't know. It's fun. My favorite part about playing a Fire Emblem is doing the gameplay of it. Presentationally, it's good. All of their portraits are really good. So all of the characters in this game look good. I really like the chunky 3D models. I think I mentioned this. I really like the models on when you're in a mission. The chunky 3D models of the units on the board are very nice. I like that aesthetic, and then also just like the look of the 3D models of the environments. Also, everything's like a little chunky, and it's nice. It's good. So the issue then with Fire Emblem, unfortunately, that I came up with, or that I came up against, is the writing. I did not care for the way that this game is written, and I don't mean like it's like broad strokes story. I think that's fine, if not by the numbers, but like whatever. But the actual like dialogue, like the character dialogue, the minute to minute text boxes that you're reading, I don't know, rudimentary, a little maybe over expository, or I don't know, just not like a fun read, not a little stale, a little dry. And so I was reading everything out loud to the best of my ability while we were playing this, and I just had to like give up. I was just like, I don't want to read this because it doesn't feel worth it. I think like if I can just like hit the broad strokes of what this story is, then great. I I think I did, unfortunately, because I was kind of like spamming through the text boxes towards the end of it. I missed a thing that a character said. Shinon the Archer did a racism against, like, there's a race of people in Fire Emblem who can, I think, shapeshift into animals. And so Shinon the Archer was being racist against them. And I think that is a major plot point of this particular Fire Emblem, is the racism of that. And so I missed that. So I don't know. Part of it, I think, probably has to do with like me taking the time to read it out loud is just going to make the text take longer. And there is a lot of it, but I just don't, it's just stale. And I don't know. And so the thing that I wonder about it is like, is this like a translation issue or like a localization issue where they just took the Japanese script and like they made it English, but like they did the bare, like they translated it and that was kind of it. And there was no actual localization done insofar as like making it like read well or making cuts maybe that could have been and should have been made to make it a little quicker. In spite of that, I'm not there for the story. I'm there for the turn-based tactics gameplay, famously, of Fire Emblem, and I think this is a good one. I like Ike. We like Ike. Ike is very fun. So the conflicting advice that I got was when I asked during the stream, I was like, should I not put all my eggs in the Ike basket? And folks were like, correct. You should not put all your eggs in the Ike basket. You should diversify. I was like, great. And then someone else was like, you should put all your eggs in the Ike basket early. You should absolutely put all your eggs in the Ike basket. You should level Ike early and use Ike, and because Ike is good. And I was like, okay, well, now I don't know what to do, but fine, whatever. I'll just play it myself and it'll probably be fine. I am trying to play that one without anyone dying. And so the end of the Path of Radiance stream, we tried the same mission twice, and Boyd, it's not Boyd's problem, it's my problem. I let Boyd die twice. So I'm definitely like, I think I'm like on the precipice of really liking Fire Emblem. I like Fire Emblem, but I'm not like into it. I don't love it, but I feel like I could, you know what I mean? I feel like one more like push, one more, something else needs to like tip over for me to like fall head over heels with Fire Emblem at large. And I've played a few of them now, and this one is fun. I think that my plan for Fire Emblem, if I do decide to like try to get into it as a series, is I would start with 7, which is the one that we played for Request-A-Thon last year, and then play 7, 8, 9, which is Path of Radiance, and then 10, which is Radiant Dawn for the Wii. And I think those 4 games would be a good way to play and potentially get into Fire Emblem, to particularly like older like pre-Fire Emblem Awakening, where Fire Emblem Awakening becomes much more character focused, narrative focused. They introduced like breeding even between characters where you can get offspring. So I think pre-Awakening Fire Emblem, the play for me, I want to say, is like 7, 8, 9, and 10. So that's kind of where I'm at with Fire Emblem, is those are the ones that I want to play. I think the new Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave comes out this year. So that'll be interesting. But yeah. Anyway, that's Path of Radiance. Great game. I will definitely get back to it eventually. But I think it is still a definitely, because I want to give Fire Emblem the time. I've never beaten one. I've never rolled credits on a single Fire Emblem, so I feel like I want to do that. So that's Path of Radiance. After Path of Radiance, we played Metroid 2, which was the winner of the bonus game. Dude, yeah, I would continue playing this game regardless of whether or not it was the bonus game. Holy shit. This game holds up astonishingly well, extraordinarily well. Going into it, I was not actually expecting the best. I thought it was going to be pretty antiquated and not control particularly well because it's on the Game Boy. and also because it's on the Game Boy, visually be hard to like parse and stuff. So playing it on NSO, you have 3 different filters or like color palettes that you can choose for Game Boy games. You have the green, the gray, and then the Game Boy Color. And the Game Boy Color provides a lot more information. As like for this game in particular, Samus is red, the walls and stuff are blue. That matters for differentiating things in this game with the limited colors that are available. But anyway, yeah, dude, Metroid 2 is really good. I was like surprised at it, I think. And someone had joined the stream at one point and started giving us some really helpful pro tips. In particular, this game does not have a map, but when you're in an area and you pause the game, it gives you a number of remaining Metroids that you need to find and kill in the area that you are. And then when you're playing the game ordinarily, in that same space, you have a total number of Metroids remaining before you like beat the game. So this is search and destroy. This is a hide and seek where you got to go around and find. You got to go around this whole map and find these Metroids, but it sections areas off where a doorway or a hallway or something won't open until you have killed a number of Metroids, and then like the earth will shake and something will open, and that's your cue to know that you have more area has now been unlocked because you've killed these Metroids. So Matt TM, you bring up the remake. So my plan with Metroid has been to play the Metroid games in order, but there is kind of a specific order to play Metroid games if you do want to follow the loose story that is there, which is Zero Mission, which is a remake of Metroid 1, but Zero Mission is the Game Boy Advance version remake of that. There's then Samus Returns, which is the 3DS remake of Metroid 2, Return of Samus. But there's Samus Returns is second. The third one is Super Metroid for the Super Nintendo. The fourth one is Metroid Fusion, also for the Game Boy Advance. And finally, the most recent 2D Metroid, Metroid Dread for the Nintendo Switch. Those are the 5 2D Metroids, and that, I think, is the order that you're supposed to play them in. Again, to try to follow the loose story that's happening from Metroid to Metroid. And so for me, when I was going to do this, I was going to play the remake versions of each of these games. I was going to play Zero Mission. I was going to play Samus Returns, which again is the remake of Metroid 2. Super hasn't gotten a remake. Fusion doesn't have a remake, and then Dread is fucking for the Switch already. So really, it's really just like the 2 remakes, Zero Mission and Samus Returns, that I would have played in lieu of playing the original Metroid 1 for the NES, which I guess is tough to go back to. I haven't tried that one. But I would have probably put Metroid 2 for the Game Boy in the same, I guess, preconceived, like, antiquated category of Metroid 1, where I just would have thought, like, that's old, it's antiquated, it's not going to be fun. And that is so not the case for this original on the Game Boy. It's excellent. It controls really well. I love all of Samus's, like, abilities. I love the spider ball. The spider ball is awesome. And they absolutely made the most of the limited amount of buttons that the Game Boy has. Like, the limited, like, amount of controls that you have for this game make it still perfectly adequate. I think my only issue with Metroid 2 is a lack of a map. I think a Metroidvania where you need to backtrack and figure out where you've been and where you need to go needs a map. A map is pretty important. And the consolation, or the oh my god, what's the word? The compromise, I guess, for that is that it tells you again how many Metroids are remaining in the area that you're in. That's something as far as like information goes. But a map would have soared this game to new heights, I think. You also adore NES Metroid, but it was a very formative game. I should definitely try it, but I'm much more inclined to play Zero Mission, I think. And the remake Absolutely, of course. I mean, they added a bunch of they added the parry, right? In Samus Returns on the 3DS, they added the parry, right? Like you can walk up to and like punch basically an enemy, or if they shoot at you, you can parry it back with your blaster. So I'm glad that Request-A-Thon and Warlock, that you requested Metroid 2 for the Game Boy. I'm glad to have played it, and I also think I will continue playing it and beat it. I'm glad I have this context of this game now, because I feel like I also want to play Samus Returns, the 3DS version of this. And I think I will have a much deeper appreciation for that game based on playing the original. So I love that. That's great. I think I'm still going to stick with like Zero Mission. I've already started Zero Mission, I guess in 2 different places, unfortunately. I got Zero Mission on the Wii U eShop, so I've got Zero Mission on there. And Zero Mission also is on Switch Online. Anyway, all of that to say, Metroid 2 for the original for the Game Boy, very good. Probably, I don't know that you need to look up a guide necessarily. You certainly could do whatever you want, but I think like a map at least. Look up a map at least for Metroid 2, I think, and then I think you'll be set. Sorry, you guys are saying a lot. The parry and full motion with the blaster, right? Like you've got the full degree of motion instead of it. I mean, Metroid 2 actually doesn't have the diagonal shot. It's only got the straight and the directly above you. A college try of Metroid 1 would probably be good, but Zero Mission is literally a top 10 of all time. Yeah, I've really liked what I've played of Zero Mission so far, and I need to get back to it. And I will play. You know what? I think funny enough, I'll play and beat 2, because I think. Well, I mean, we're doing 2 anyway for the bonus, so that's great. And then I'll probably do Zero Mission, and then I'll do Samus Returns, and then the rest of them. You love Zero Mission so much, you've been trying to learn to speedrun it. Hell yeah. That's fun. Never beaten a Metroid because you fall off, but it's super fun running around and beating bosses. Yeah, I'm curious to see when we play more of 2, actually, like if I maybe get more stuck or something. But Warlock, I hope that you'll be there to help. And again, I'm sorry I'm not playing Metroid 2 tonight, but also like this is taking over 2 hours. I'm really taking my sweet time. How long was the first one? Last year's was an hour for more games. So I'm taking a lot longer per game this time around. What am I? Fucking Fire Emblem Path of Radiance? Next up, we had 2 days left of Request-A-Thon. And so my friend Alex had initially requested Super Dodgeball for the NES. And to my surprise, no one else requested anything on the NES. And there's some bangers on the NES. There's some great games there. Even though it's old as hell, there's still some games that absolutely hold up, are great. And yet Alex was like, you should play Super Dodgeball. And I knew, like, I was like, dude, any of the sports games on the NES, tennis, golf, and I'm not talking about Mario Tennis or Mario Golf. There are just games on the NES called tennis, golf, ice hockey, etc. I was not excited to play any of those. Excite Bike would have been a great game to play, for sure. Super Dodgeball, I fear, not a great game. So I tried it. I gave it about 5 to 10 minutes. We played like a match. It controls, it flickers. There's too many sprites on the screen, so it flickers. That's a known thing. You know, if there's too many sprites on the screen, then they start to flicker to try to, that was like a compromise to try to make everything fit. Yeah, I don't, anyway, just, it goes there. I don't have anything. I don't have any words. It's just bad. It's old and bad. You can't, honestly, the sprite work in it is pretty good. but it's not a good game. Come on. Anyway, so luckily, I was like, Alex, what else would you want to see? And we landed on Super Mario Strikers. Now this is interesting. I'll put it in probably. So the reason it's in probably, the reason it's not indefinitely, is because Mario Strikers for the GameCube feels like a prototype. It feels like a proof of concept for the idea. And then Mario Strikers Charged for the Wii feels like the fully fleshed out, full-featured, superior version of the Strikers idea. So for me, because the gameplay of these games is so similar, like with sports games, you can kind of replace sports games for a better version of a sports game. That's the idea of them releasing yearly versions of sports games, is that every new year it gets better and better and better. That isn't realistically the case, because as they make new ones, they start changing things and sometimes ruining things, or EA monetization ends up ruining the game. So you end up opting for an older version of a game, because also largely the gameplay of playing hockey like NHL or Madden or NBA, like a 2K or whatever, gameplay wise, like those games are not changing. There's little things, there's maybe some modes here and there, but for the most part, the core, the sport that you're playing is kind of the same. Like NHL 07 and NHL 2027 are kind of going to be largely the same, okay? So I think that also kind of can be the case for a lot of the Mario sports games, where you're playing the version that is more fully featured, maybe has a more robust character roster, maybe has a story mode, whatever. And so if I want to play Mario Strikers, I'm going to reach for Charged before anything else. I'm not going to reach for this one, and I'm not going to reach for Battle League for the Switch either. But this one, as a prototype, it feels like a prototype genuinely for the idea. It is really good. They had a lot right on the first try, and then they got to refine it for Strikers Charged. Yeah, Strikers is very good. Whoever's idea it was to put the Mario characters and not just like a soccer game. It's not just like a straight up and down FIFA, like tennis. They keep things relatively like, you know, like it looks like it could be real world tennis or whatever, and just the Mario characters are there. Same thing for golf. Baseball, I think they have a little bit more fun with baseball, but again, largely it's still pretty much just baseball. For soccer, they were like, what if it's murder soccer? What if it's like extremely violent, but like Looney Tunes violent, like Looney Tunes electrocution, like Acme Dynamite levels of violence in Mario Soccer? What if we do that, and we make all of them really serious and mean, and they're all mean mugging all the time? What if Mario what if we get Charles Martinet to growl? Like, that's Mario Strikers. And it's fun. It gives the game a lot of flavor and personality, and I'm glad that it's not just straight up soccer. You know what I mean? Because they've done that with the other sports, and so this really makes Strikers like stand out among the Mario sports pack. So I really like Strikers. It is impossible not to compare it against Charged and Battle League. And particularly Charged, because they were released so close together. And again, the GameCube Strikers, Super Mario Strikers, feels like a prototype, feels like a proof of concept, but like a very strong proof of concept. I will go back to this game if I feel like, yeah, like this is why I'm between like a probably and a maybe, because it entirely depends on like how much do I want to go back to kind of a worse version when I'm, again, if I'm feeling strikers, I'm gonna play charged. If I'm having people over to play a strikers, it's gonna be charged. So I'm putting it in probably because it is a good game, but it's like, I mean, I think it's more likely, I think, than maybe maybe someday. I don't know if that makes sense. Anyway, I'll put it in probably. But great game. And last but not least, holy shit. I think this might be one of my new favorite games. Like, this hasn't happened in a Request-A-Thon before, where I've played a game that I like so much that I'm starting to wonder, I'm like comparing it against Balatro and Blueprints and Pokemon Emerald and Animal Crossing. And I'm looking at this game like, it's fucking everything about it. Everything about it is incredible. The glazing is crazy. I understand. I can't. It has so much stuff. It has so many things.
The glazing is crazy.
Thank you, Matt Tam. It has so many things. My initial hang up with it, getting into it, and this here, let me talk my way through it, okay? My initial hang up with F-Zero GX. It has a story mode, which is awesome. It's an F-Zero game with a story mode. I think F-Zero X for the N64 also has a story mode, which is cool, I think. Does it? Don't quote me on that. It might just have Grand Prix. I don't remember. X for the N64 was the first 3D F-Zero, and then GX, similar to Mario Strikers and then Charged, took the 3D F-Zero and like super duper refined it. Now we can all get good at F-Zero GX and play it together. Yeah. This is the first with a story mode. Okay. So already, like, it's an F-Zero game with a story mode, and the story mode has these really delightful pre-rendered cutscenes. We get to see Captain Falcon and a whole bunch of these other characters, but I think there's something really special to me about Captain Falcon almost being, at this point, more of a Smash Brothers character than he is an F-Zero character, because the gameplay of F-Zero, especially the first one, and even as most recently as F-Zero 99, you don't see the guys actually. You see their cars. You race as the machine. Sorry, but like the actual guys, you don't see the guys. You know, and this is an F-Zero game where you actually get to see the guys, and that's really fun. So yeah, I really like the cutscenes of F-Zero GX. There's a lot of life and love put into those. The fact that this is a collaboration between Nintendo and Sega is crazy. But specifically, the folks from Sega who are responsible for Monkey Ball is like extra crazy. I did not know that going into this. And you start playing the game and you start seeing some of the Monkey Ball DNA in here. And it's so cool and good. And like this, Sega really excels at making good, like, arcadey games, fast games. Like they did a really exceptional job. And I think I joked at the end of the stream that F-Zero GX is the best Sega game. And like, half joke maybe. Anyway, holy shit. So my initial hang up with this game, if I can get back to that, is that you do the first chapter of the story mode, and then after you do that, the game is like, you can go buy the second chapter in the shop. And I was like, okay. And then I'm looking around in the menus. There's nothing that says shop. I'm looking around. I'm fumbling my way in the dark, you know, feeling around. Where could the shop possibly be? Sure enough, it's in customize. On the main menu, you got to go to customize. And then there is a shop within the customize menu. And then, there's 3 different sections of the shop even. One for characters. You can buy characters to unlock them. One for parts. Like, you can customize your own machine. I didn't even really get into that, but you can buy parts to customize your own machine. And then one for items. And guess where the chapters go? Is in items. Apparently chapters are items. I wonder if that's a translation thing, but anyway, whatever. So eventually I find where you buy the chapters, and initially I have a gripe with this, and I'm like, kind of wish you could just kind of keep playing the story. Kind of wish you didn't have to go find the next chapter buried in these menus, and then you get tickets. You get tickets for doing story stuff, and then you also get tickets as a game-wide currency for doing the Grand Prix. And these are basically just like in Mario Kart, you can do the cups. So F-Zero has the Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald Cup, which you're speaking my language already. Gen 3 heads rise up. And then there's 3 difficulties: novice, something, and expert. I forget what the middle one is. Anyway. And so the thing that I realize after a point is, they want you to, they slow down how quickly you can do the story to force you to start exploring the game, exploring the menus of the game. Like, it forced me to do that. It forced me to go find where to buy the next chapter. And then I didn't have enough tickets to buy the next chapter. I went into a shop and accidentally bought a character and lost some tickets, and exactly enough tickets. If you don't spend your tickets on anything else, you can do the first chapter, and that gives you 15 tickets, which is exactly enough tickets that you need to go and buy the second chapter. So you can do, if you go and find the shop, and you can just buy the second chapter with the exact amount of tickets that they award you for doing chapter 1. So then after you do chapter 2, the next chapter, like after you do chapter 2, they will give you, after you beat it, they'll give you another 15 tickets, but the next chapter 3 costs 20 tickets. So now this actually forces you. I don't know if you could maybe do a chapter again of the story mode, now that I think about it. If you could repeat the story mode chapters, maybe every time you do, like if you treat them as levels, maybe you could get tickets every time that way, unless you only get tickets the first time that you complete them, which might be the case. But anyway, the thing that I was like, okay, well, I'm assuming we will get tickets for doing the Grand Prix in the game. So this forced me, and this is a good forced, to not just tunnel vision on the story mode for this game and go and play the Grand Prix. And this forces you to play the game, and by way of playing it, start to understand it, start to get better at it, because as we learned with chapter 3, holy shit, the story mode for F-Zero GX is no joke, and this game really demands a lot of you as far as a racing game goes. There's very little room for error here, particularly with some of the like story missions. You really got to be like on it and play. You got to play consistently. I think you got to make few to none mistakes to succeed at beating a chapter for the most part. The like introductory one is a tutorial. It's just, you get to drive around. You play the story mode, as far as I understand, as Captain Falcon the whole time. I don't know if there's any chapters where that changes, but at least the first chapters that I've played, you are Captain Falcon the whole time. So the very first mission or chapter is Captain Falcon in his secret base, and he does like a simulation race, and it's on this like closed like oval track, no other racers, so just like you have the time and the space to get used to these controls. And they just, all this mission is you got to race into and collect 25 of these like golden capsule thingies along the track, and you have an amount of time and 3 laps to do it. And this forces you to start getting good at steering, but I think more accurately aiming your car, because you're going to want to be aiming your car at like boost pads a lot of the time. And I like steering and aiming, you could argue, is like the same thing, but I find a lot of this game, like, as much as you're steering around turns for sure, and you definitely have to get better at taking turns, but for the most part, You're just getting used to like making micro adjustments to the joystick to move. You're not steering all the way left and all the way right, or very rarely is that happening. You're making micro twitchy adjustments to your machine to move, I guess, to steer, I guess. And so it forces you, it's like a very different, like if you're coming from a Mario Kart, or honestly most other racing games, this is a lot twitchier and yeah, I guess like twitchy or like you can make minimal movements, I guess, with the joystick for movement in this. And you're going fast, and that's certainly represented on screen with the visuals and stuff, but you can't, a lot of turns, even you can't hold the gas and just, although someone who I think knows this game very well did come into chat and was like, you can hold the gas the whole time, and I was like, if you say so. I don't think I'm there yet, but if you say so. Anyway, so yeah, you get used to controlling the car in the very first chapter of the story mode, assuming that that's where you start. And I think you should. I feel like it's incentivized to click. They put the button for story mode in the middle of the screen. So I think you're incentivized. You see story, you're like, oh cool, there's a story mode. I'll probably start with that. That makes sense to me. I think they kind of considered the player's experience almost at every turn, pardon the pun, with this game. The button for story mode is in the mid. There's this like 3x3 grid on the main menu of buttons, and the story mode button is in the middle of the screen, which I think maybe, I don't know, they have the Grand Prix also in the top left corner, which I guess also makes sense. And you could start there also. You could start novice difficulty, Ruby Cup or whatever, and that's going to have your like introductory courses, and they're not going to be too bad. That would also be like a not bad way to start playing this game. But I think in the event that you do start with the story and you do the first chapter, that's a great way to get used to the controls and the movement for this game. So then you do the second, if you go into the second mission right away, that's the Samurai Goro Canyon, the like Boulder Canyon one. That one really is like tests you on your ability to aim your machine and steer around, not just like on a track and stuff. That's kind of whatever at this point. Now on this, for this level, there are boulders falling onto the track as you're racing, and you need to dodge them. And you also have to come first in the race. This is a 1v1 against Samurai Goro, who for the longest time for me has only ever been an assist trophy in Smash Bros. So it's great to see Samurai Goro actually in action in this one. Also, again, it's great to see the guys in F-Zero be guys and not just cars. That's a crazy sentence. Anyway, so that mission, that chapter definitely tests your like. It like pressure cooks you into getting good at steering and aiming and like moving around these boulders and stuff. And also, you have to beat Samurai. You can't just get to the end you can't just survive at the end of the race. You still gotta win. So that, for this, honestly, the Samurai Goro Canyon level for chapter 2, that's already like tough. That took me several tries for sure. Anyway, so then, yeah, you do that mission. You don't get enough tickets to instantly move on to Chapter 3, so then you go back to the Grand Prix, and then maybe you do the Sapphire Cup, and then you get enough tickets that way. And so that's what I had done, is I had done, by the time I had got to Chapter 3, I had done the first 2 chapters, of course, but then I had also done, on Novice difficulty, the Ruby and Sapphire Cups. The Emerald Cup was also there, but I figured I could just kind of go back and forth between Story and Grand Prix, and that would be fine. So then we get into Chapter 3. Chapter 3 of F-Zero GX demands so much of you, so much specific shit. Thank God that one dude whose name I forget, KNX, the kid, I think that was his name. They entered chat and started giving me a ton of pro tips. They were like, this is the map for Chapter 3 is a course with a lot of like right angle turns, but there is a bunch of jumps that you can take to kind of like go over the corners. And if you're gonna win chapter 3, I feel you need to take pretty much every jump in this level, in this stage. So we're taking these jumps, and this guy comes in chat and he's like, you want to minimize air time as much as possible, and you can, when you're in the air, you can use the joystick to tilt up to point your nose down, or tilt down to point your nose up. Airplane controls or whatever. And they were like, you should, when you take a jump, you can nosedive pretty soon to get back on the track, and then you can keep the, if you land, you can also try to like tilt to land flat. So when you come back down onto the track, if you land flat smoothly, then you maintain the momentum that you got from the nosedive, which to me felt like getting a speed boost, which was pretty cool. And as soon as we started to get good at that, after doing this chapter for probably half an hour at least at this point, I'm just kind of like doing the things that I thought that I knew and was good at. What's up, Azure? Did you mean to put Bubsy in that tier? Just because it's green doesn't mean it's good. I did mean to put Bubsy in that tier. It says the word never, as in never again will I play Bubsy. Anyway, we're almost done. We're talking about F-Zero GX right now, the final game that we played, and surprise, surprise, my favorite. Once we started to nosedive, when we got back onto the track after these jumps and started getting some speed boosts, and a combination of getting better at turning and getting better at my boosts, getting better at like figuring out where to use the boosts, all that stuff. Eventually, finally, after a while, culminated in beating chapter 3, which I think is like truly a feat. Beating chapter 3 of F-Zero GX was like no joke. One of the coolest, one of the like the best, one of the highest highs I've ever had. I couldn't believe it. It was so cool. And so now I'm hooked. Now after that has happened, I forget about it. F-Zero GX. Holy shit, what a video game. And there's so much stuff. There's a lot of unlockables. And I really like the idea of spending a lot of time with this game, trying to get good at it. And it's on Switch Online. We could play F-Zero GX online. That's pretty cool. I would love to play F-Zero GX online with folks. And I think my goal with this game is to beat the story mode maybe eventually. And all of the cups, maybe on all of the difficulties. But I think, yeah, I'm excited about F-Zero GX. It's cool. I'm glad. Going into it, I knew I would like it. I didn't know I was going to like it this much. You know, I love it. I truly love it. So here, if we can organize the categories individually, like Bubsy, for instance, worse than Dodgeball, okay? I actually don't know about that one. These ones are probably like equally terrible. F-Zero GX can probably go at the top here. And then within that, I think like Donkey Kong, Metroid 2, Wario World, Luigi's Mansion, Path of Radiance, Paper Mario. And then maybe, actually, probably Paper Mario ahead of, I want to say these two. I think probably Play Again is fine where it's at. I'm putting Rise Star ahead of Kirby, actually. I'll put Toe Jam in first for probably, but not, probably not, but never say never. I'll put Mario Paint in front of Turok. And then I'll put Claymates in front of these guys, and that looks good. And I think that's a finished tier list. We did it. There is a widescreen option. Hello. Yeah, hi Shin Neo. Folks, I'm sorry if you're here for Metroid because I said in the Discord that I would play Metroid. I've already taken a long time doing the tier list, so I think we will probably play Metroid Monday night, and the whole stream is just going to be Metroid 2. That'll be the real ending of Request-A-Thon. We'll play the bonus. We're going to play Metroid 2 again, maybe to credits depending on how well it goes, I guess. There's a widescreen option in the options if you wanted to play widescreen for F-Zero. Yeah, we were put onto that, and that is also very cool. I think I would definitely do that. And for what it's worth, the guy who came here and was giving us a whole bunch of pro tips for F-Zero was like, I was like, would you recommend playing a GameCube controller, or like, is any controller fine? And they did recommend a GameCube controller for whatever that's worth. So I don't know. My 8-bit Duke controller, I think, like did the trick, certainly, but I would like to try a GX with a GameCube controller to see if it feels any better. If it feels the same, then whatever, I'll just use my 8-bit Duke controller still, because it's wireless and nice and new and shiny, and I like it. Anyway, yeah, man, I think this was overall a great Request-A-Thon. I had asked at the beginning of the stream, some of you weren't here, but I had asked kind of like, what did you think of Request-A-Thon this year? Did you like that it was Switch Online games only? Do you wish that it was like it worked in previous years and you could request pretty much anything? I think I will probably, for Request-A-Thon 4 coming in January 2027, look forward to that. You can probably make your requests in November or December if you stick around that long. For Request-A-Thon 4, I will probably go back to some form of being able to request anything, because if you look at the top games, obviously it's all Nintendo. And then the games that I didn't necessarily vibe with, there's like the Genesis games are in there, Turok is in there, and then there's some other third-party stuff that did not land, like Claymates, Bubsy, etc. But I missed the potential for like indie games to be requested for sure. I think honestly, I think the idea I have for Request-A-Thon 4 that's gonna keep it to pretty much anything could be requested is you can request anything as long as it's a single player story. Because I've gotten requests for Fortnite and Roblox and Teamfight Tactics and those games, and those are fun to play. I think it would just be I feel like it would be better for me if it was strictly single player. So that might be the only like rule for next year, is that you can request anything. Everything that has already been requested will be blacklisted, so none of the games that are here and none of the games that were requested for Request-A-Thon 1 and 2 will be available. So we're going to try to see some new shit and some story mode stuff is probably what I'm leaning towards for Request-A-Thon 4. So we're not going to limit it to any systems or indie or not indie or whatever, some other ideas I had. But I think for the most part, just like needs to have a single player story mode of some kind. And I think that'll be the only stipulation. You give Request-A-Thon a 10 out of 10. Switch Online helped constrain the possible choices, made it much easier to pick, and you like that it's fairly accessible. That rule is evil. How are you supposed to request specifically that we duo queue ranked in League for 3 hours? Wait, how are you supposed to request specifically that we duo queue ranked in League for 3 hours? The idea is that that doesn't happen. Because I think I want to avoid, because that's kind of presented some issues in the past for this, is when we start playing some like online multiplayer games for connection issues or trying to, I don't know, play with other people or whatever, right? I think I just want to keep it to single player, and this entire Request-A-Thon was basically single player the whole time. So, oh, thank goodness for the / sarcasm. Otherwise, I wouldn't have known. Anyway, But yeah, I think overall this year's was pretty good. We fit it more or less within a month, plus a month plus a week, give or take. So, upcoming streams on Sunday, we're going to play Animal Crossing New Horizons. We're going to go back to our Slumber Island that we're working on together as a community. We're going back to Caprio Land. If you have the Slumber Island unlocked in your ACNH, feel free to join. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. We can have up to 8 of us on the island together. I know some of you have already started working on an area that you might want to continue working on. And some of you haven't gotten in there yet, and there's a lot of empty space still for you to make something, and that's exciting. So I think I've pretty much finished doing what I want to do on the Slumber Island, which was like setting up like pathways and bridges and inclines and stuff so that the entire island is like accessible. So I'm probably going to start like, I think I'm going to pick an area somewhere and try to make something. So I think Warlock, it's going to be happening Sunday evening, if that is possible, if you can make it. We're going to do Slumber Island stuff. I think like for the next little while, I kind of want to keep doing it like every other Sunday. Seems good. So yeah, Sunday evening, Slumber Island. Monday evening, I wasn't going to stream initially on Monday, but because earlier this stream tonight started late because I made the mistake of laying down. So, oopsie daisy. I meant to do both the tier list and Metroid 2, but the tier list fucking, we're approaching. I mean, I know how to yap. That's for damn sure. It's a long stream of me just fucking yapping. Anyway, we're going to play Metroid Monday night, and that'll be the only thing we do that stream. We'll just, if I can make it to credits, great, but it's not going to be, I'm not going to stream that game until we reach credits. I'm just going to stream it one more time because at long last, folks, I'm so excited. Next Tuesday, February 10th, we finally are going to begin Generation 4 in earnest of Pokemon. We're going to begin with Pokemon Diamond. I've done pretty much everything that I've wanted to do in Generation 3. There's the odd thing here and there that I'm sure we will go back to. I'll do streams for where we return to Gen 3 here and there, but for the most part, I'm done with Gen 3 and I want to move on and I want to play. I want to use my DS capture card, okay? So we're going to start with Diamond. Look forward in the Discord for a poll to choose our starter Pokemon for Pokemon Diamond between Turtwig, Chimchar, and Piplup. I'll have that up soon. You want to make the tier list the webcam Pokemon? Okay, hang on. I got you. One sec. Wait, am I blind? Oh, it's in here. It's in another folder. Of course, classic. Request-A-Thon 3 tier list.jpg. Okay. Everyone say goodbye to Chandelure from Pokken Tournament. And say hello to John Cena. Where did it go? R. There it is. Whoa, we can put the tier list. Oh my god, we can put the tier list in the tier list. Oh my god. Tier listception. Whoa, crazy. Crazy. Oh, hang on. I'm just going to replace it for like a second. There's a thing we did last Request-A-Thon that was called Spendception. And you can only imagine. Hell yeah. That was fun. Anyway. Back to the tier list. Where was it? There it is. Holy smokes, it's huge. Great. I mean, I wanted a screenshot of that anyway for the Discord, so that works out. Sweet. The tier list for Request-A-Thon 3. We did it. So yeah. I still need to write the mini reviews for Mario Strikers and F-Zero GX. But I've orally said, you know, my piece on those during this. If you're interested in any of the previous Request-A-Thons 1 and 2, we did a tier list like this for both of them. And you should be able to find them in the Request-A-Thon channel in the Discord. You might have to scroll a while. I don't know if you'd be able to search. I will try to find those and make them maybe more findable or accessible or whatever. If you're interested, they're there. Any of the previous games that we've played for Request-A-Thon 1 and 2, everything is in there. All of the Request-A-Thon 3 games are in there. If there's any games from this Request-A-Thon that you missed, that you want to see how they went, even for just a couple minutes, just to like get a vibe or whatever, you can check that out. But yeah, we will put a cap finally on Request-A-Thon 3 when we play Metroid 2 Monday night. I will see you before then. Animal Crossing New Horizons Slumber Island stream. Should be a lot of fun. Now until someone else spends points, Logan will definitely know Claymates is bottom tier. Good. Let him know. GG Gamer, thank you for being here. Sorry I started late. You almost requested the still from when my webcam froze. I'm curious. I made a couple of shorts out of the Mario Strikers stream. One was the Waluigi dolphin dive. Okay. 2 of them did not do well, but the white mage one, I think someone tried to roast me maybe a little bit. Someone with the username Birdo the Baddie. Can I show this? Birdo the Baddie said webcam couldn't handle your face any longer, bro. They're trying to be mean, right? I hit him with a well said. I don't know. Anyway. Someone said Toad pooped. I don't know what's going on. This isn't Inazuma 11? YouTube comments on my Animal Crossing City Folk videos have been very nice. YouTube comments on the shorts are like Bubsy level. Unless they're K, of course. Unless they're K. Unless they're K. K is goated, obviously. Anyway. Subscribe to the YouTube. Exclamation mark YouTube in chat. Imagine being Birdo the Baddie. Yeah, could not be me, truly. Anyway. Comments on shorts are insane. Yeah. Like Beck has it so good because Beck makes like Beck is also making like thoughtful content. So Beck makes a short about something interesting in Pokemon and everyone is commenting their like thoughts and feelings and opinions about it. And you know, but you post a clip. Just started City Folk ASMR vibes. Hell yeah! Thank you, Matt Tam. Her short comments whenever you remember to comment are also low key wild. Some of them, yeah, oh yeah. I'm not saying all of them are like thoughtful because the unfortunate thing about talking about Pokemon is everyone has opinions about Pokemon, and they're all pissed. They're all angry as shit. They're all willing to throw down on behalf of Chikorita or whatever. Anyway. One way or the other. That's going to do it for me. Thank you so much for hanging out. I hope you enjoyed Request-A-Thon 3. I'll see you Sunday for Animal Crossing, Slumber Island activities. Monday for Metroid 2. I'm going to drink some water and go to bed. Have a great night. And I'll see you Sunday. Bye.
So